Trial by Fire.
Hi guys, Aaron here from Trial by Fire, and today I thought we would try out doing some sort of explanation video review of Death Stranding. Now, I completed this game probably about a couple of weeks ago, and it's been on my mind a lot. As you can see, I got the Bridges hat and stuff like that. You know, it's left a very, it's left an impression on me. We can say that, and I don't feel like I'm ever going to play anything like Death Stranding again in my lifetime anytime soon. So I wanted to sort of do some sort of explanation video on it, because I'm still hearing a lot of people not really knowing what the hell it's about and stuff. And, you know, looking at the Game Awards and stuff and it taking several awards, I just feel like maybe I could add some sort of explanation to it. So for people that haven't yet played it or are a bit dubious about picking it up because they don't really know what they're in for, hopefully this video will clear that up for you. So if you're ready, strap in, come with me, because we are going on a tour de force of Death Stranding. America is broken, and it's up to you to put it back together again. It's a tall order, a lot of people believe in it, but you're not sure you do. It'll take a lot of dangerous, lonely walks and exceptional heavy lifting, and it's not exactly clear what America needs in the first place. For some reason you set out anyway, trudging through hills and wetlands on foot, not fully knowing and understanding where you are going. On one level, Death Stranding is about America, but your overall goal when setting out is to help people, bring them together and connect people, not for the vague concept of America, but for the sake of helping people. Death Stranding is unrelenting in its earnestness and optimism, certainly not without its critiques of America or without its challenges and setbacks, but inherently hopeful nonetheless. It is a dense, complex, slow game with a plot that really goes places, but at its core never stops being about the sheer power and purpose we can find in human connection. And that is its most remarkable achievement. Rebuilding the country is as simple as getting every city, outpost and individual onto the network, the bones of which was laid down by a pseudo-government organisation called Bridges. As Sam Porter-Bridges, played by Norman Reedus, all you have to do to win people over is make deliveries. Most people never go outside because of the mysterious monsters called BTs, but unlike most people, Sam can sense them enough to sneak past them to get the important cargo to its destination. Deliveries can be arduous. You are evaluated on your deliveries across a few categories, but the condition of your cargo can make or break a run, and there are a lot of factors against you. On top of BTs, you have to contend with timefall, a kind of rain that rapidly accelerates aging and deterioration of most of the things it touches. Extended exposure to timefall can damage or even ruin your cargo, as can slipping, falling, getting hit by an enemy, and in some cases, just being a little too rough with it. Even the smallest of rocks can trip you up too. In order to keep your footing, you need to pay close attention to where you're stepping, keeping your balance with the triggers whilst on rough terrain. Once you reach your destination, you are showered with praise. The recipient will most likely thank you to your face, be it as a hologram, and then they will give you a series of social media style likes. You are inundated with a multi-page results screen that itemizes all of the likes you receive for delivery and in what categories, plus an overall rating for the delivery itself, no matter how small. Its positive reinforcement turned up to 11. Those likes then funnel into each of the delivery categories like experience points, and as you level up you can carry more weight or obtain better balance among other benefits. Deliveries also feed into a connection rating with each city, outpost or person, and as that increases you acquire better gear and sometimes gifts to award your efforts further. In short, you give a lot and get a lot in return. There are a relatively small amount of deliveries to advance the story, but there are a seemingly endless amount of optional deliveries, and I often found myself picking up orders destined for any place that was on my way. It's a cycle that's easy to get swept up in. No matter how difficult a delivery or how far the distance, you'll always be met with gratitude, likely feeling fulfilled from completing a tough delivery, and often giving you a tool to make future deliveries easier. The chiral network is a sort of internet on steroids which allows you to 3D print objects, which are incredibly useful and a strong incentive in itself. When at a terminal connected to the network, you can print ladders and ropes for traversal, new boots as yours wear out, repair sprays for the damaged containers, and anything else you need to safely deliver cargo as long as you have a blueprint for it. You can also print a portable printer that builds structures for you in open areas covered by the network. Things like bridges, towers, generators, the latter of which are critical when you start using battery-powered exoskeletons and vehicles. The chiral network also grants you access to the online component of the game, which is absolutely essential. You never see other people in the flesh, but their impact is all around you. Once the area is on the network, you can see structures and objects left behind by other players in the course of their own journeys, plus helpful signs to help those who come after them. You can pick up someone's lost cargo and deliver it for them too, knowing that someone might find yours at some point and do you the same kindness. In Death Stranding's best moments, the relief and gratitude you can feel towards someone you don't even know is an unrivaled multiplayer experience. A climbing rope left behind by someone else can be your lifeline as you stand alone at the edge of a cliff with almost no stamina left. They probably just put it there because they needed it, but it can feel like in that exact moment they knew that you needed it. You can give and receive these likes on these player-to-player structures, and just like standard deliveries, there is strong incentive to do something for someone else. In the earlier sections of the game, I was using other people's structures far more than I was leaving behind, but I wanted to play it forward and know that my help was appreciated, so I started going out of my way to build structures that I myself didn't really need. At first, the like system seems like a pretty obvious commentary on social media and their dependence on external validation, but it's not so much a critique as it is a positive spin on the human need for acceptance, and the system does a remarkable job of urging you to do your best for NPCs and real people alike. Feeling appreciated can be a rare occurrence in life, and it's powerful in its simplicity here. The first few hours of the game are the slowest, and a large part of that is because you don't have access to the online component right away. It's an incredibly lonely stretch of time during which you mostly just walk. The work you do early on is especially laborious in the absence of advanced gear, and it serves to give an appreciation to other players and gear as you move forward. But even after the gameplay opens up, you continue to get a lot of the story exposition and almost no explanation. It can all seem kind of goofy at first, and you can get lost in the metaphors. Every city you need to add to the chiral network has a knot in its name, and there are even referred to as knots on a strand that connects the country. There is bizarre and unwarranted product placement in the form of Monster energy drinks and the show Ride with Norman Reedus. Guillermo del Toro's likeness is used for a kind of dorky character called Deadman, and there's a woman called Fragile in a game about delivering packages. But the story really does go deeper than that. In keeping with the theme of human connection, each of the core characters you meet and work with have their own story to tell. They each have a unique perspective on death and equally a unique perspective on life, and unravelling the characters to their true origins of their awful names contributes to the overall tapestry of Death Stranding's take on the human experience. As they open up to Sam, Sam opens up to them in turn, growing into a distinct character in his own right, out of the reserved, emotionless man he was at the start. I grew to love Sam, Fragile and Hartman especially, and even the ones I didn't like add to the game's message of hope and love in the face of adversity.
The necessary maintenance has been completed. Various adjustments and fine-tuning for your benefit. You can use it again. For once, it would seem that Dooms and BBs are a good combination.
By far my favourite character and the most important one is BB. BBs are infants in pods that can detect the presence of BTs and are issued to porters like Sam to help them navigate dangerous territory. You are told to treat BBs like equipment, not babies, but it's impossible to think of your BB that way. It's full of personality, giggling when happy, crying when stressed out, and it even gives you likes from time to time. There aren't many children left in Death Stranding's isolated, fearful world. But BB is your reminder that the future is counting on you, regardless of how you feel about America itself. The love that goes between Sam and BB is nothing short of heartwarming. Connecting with the story, just as connecting with NPCs and other players can take work. It's not a story that clicks immediately on a surface level, and the dramatic mystery and off-the-wall science don't make too much sense at first, but it's an emotional story first and foremost, and making sense of the things, while entirely possible, particularly if you read the letters and interviews that detail small bits of lore as you go, is not as important as reflecting on how it makes you feel. You have plenty of opportunities to do that too. In the quiet moments of travel, usually as you arrive near your destination, music might start to play. The music, which is largely composed of one band, Low Roar, is phenomenal, the kind of contemporary, folkish music that suits a trip through a meadow or down a mountain. Because the act of walking is so involved, it's not time to detach completely and zone out. It's a time to feel your feelings, or at least consider what's next on your travels. You can just as quick be ripped out of that headspace though by the shift in haunting music that signals BT territory. The otherworldly growls of BTs as they close in on you can be terrifying, and early on your best bet is to just freeze in your tracks and hold your breath for as long as you can so you quietly sneak past them. But there are times where you have to fight a BT in its true form, and for that you have specialised weapons to take them down. These BTs aren't the ethereal humanoid shapes that float above the ground, but huge horrors that screech under clouds of blood. The combat is mechanically simple, you mostly have to move around a bit and hit them before they hit you, but the sequences are visually unresting. You don't get a gun that works on live enemies until 25 hours or so, but even then it's non-lethal. You are actively guided away from killing in Death Stranding because when people die their bodies go nuclear and their bodies leave massive craters and level cities, leaving BTs in their wake. On top of that, the main human enemies are neurals, former porters just like Sam, that have been corrupted by an automated world. They essentially become addicted to snatching cargo in their desperation to have a job and a purpose as more and more people are replaced by machines. They're not evil, and killing them seems like, well, overkill. It's easy to knock them unconscious using the method you unlock as the game progresses. I didn't kill a single one in my playthrough, punching them is so satisfying. Whilst BTs and neurals are concerns while delivering cargo, there's also Mads Mikkelsen's character, a man introduced through memories when Sam connects to BB's pod. He gets his own dedicated segments that punctuate hours of simple delivery, and these highly contained, much shorter sections are striking in their art direction and juxtaposition to the rest of the game. It's not immediately clear what he is, whether he's an enemy or potential friend or something else entirely, but he's captivating in his ambiguity. The most cartoonish enemy is Troy Baker's Higgs, a terrorist whose depravity seems to know no bounds. Of all the characters, Higgs is the weakest, with far less nuance to him than anyone else in the past. He's really just there as a bad guy to motivate you in a more traditional video game sense than delivering packages and helping people. But he and his band of faceless terrorists are more of a means to an end than full-fledged villains. He's the catalyst for some of the major BT fights, and in the end an extreme reminder that it's still possible to stay hopeful even when things are darkest. Death Stranding is a hard game to absorb. There are many intertwining twists to its story, silly names, corny plot, and heavy exposition, but other than that, a very simple message. This comes across during the game's much more mundane moments when you find a desperately needed ladder left behind by another player or receive a letter from an NPC thanking you for your efforts. It's positive without ignoring pain. In fact, it argues during its story and its gameplay that adversity itself is what makes things worth doing and to make life worth living. It's a game that requires patience, compassion and love, and it's also one that we really need right now. Well guys, that's my video review and explanation on Death Stranding. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't yet checked out the game and you're still sort of sitting on the fence about it, the only thing left I can say is you really do need to check it out. It's one hell of a game. And if you're a fan of Metal Gear Solid and you appreciate the work that Hideo Kojima does in his games, trust me, it won't let you down. So with all that said and done, I'd like to wish you all a very happy new year, and also if you would love to leave a like on this video, that would be great. It really helps the video out more than you know. And if you're new to the channel and you like what I've been doing, then please consider subscribing. That also helps out too. But for now, this has been Aaron from Trial by Fire, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.